Hello, and welcome to Homer for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. Wow, how time flies. Today we will be reading from lines 349 to 367 in Book 11 of the Iliad, in which Diomedes both strikes Hector, we witness a concussion, and Hector gets away. Thank you for being here, and enjoy. He spake and poised his far-shadowing spear, and hurled it, nor missed he the mark at which he aimed, but smote him on the head and on the top of the helmet. But the bronze was turned away by bronze, or aside by bronze, and reached not his fair flesh, for it was stayed by the threefold crested helm, which Phoebus Apollo had bestowed upon him. Pode foiebos Apollon. But Hector sprang back a wondrous way, and mingled with the throng, and he fell upon his knees, and thus abode, and with his stout hand leaned upon the earth, and dark night enfolded his eyes. But while the son of Tydeus was following after the cast of his spear far through the foremost fighters, where he had seen it fix itself in the earth, meanwhile Hector revived again, and leaping back into his chariot, drave forth into the throng, and escaped black fate. And rushing after him with his spear, mighty Diomedes spake to him, Now again, thou dog, art thou escaped from death, though verily thy bane came nigh thee. But once more hath Phoebus Apollo saved thee, to whom of a surety thou must make prayer when thou goest amongst the hurtling of spears amid. Verily, I will yet make an end of thee when I meet thee hereafter, if so be any god is helper to me likewise. What a mouthful. But now will I make after the rest, whomsoever I may light upon. Honkekikeio kikano is this great verb. Before we get into that and other lexical excitements, let's sing it. Rakayam pepalon proiedolikos kionenkos. Kai palenur affamarte titus comenos kefalefin. Akrenka korutha plankre da pokal kofikalkos. Would he kato kroakal rua kakegai tu faleia. Triptukosauro pisteinoi pore foibos apollon. Hector to capelethon a pedrom e micto homiloi. Stede gnuxeripon caeres toceri paceie. Gaies amfideos icalaine nuxecalupsen. Offre tu deides metodur atosoi ketaroen. Teile dia promacon theoi cateis atogaies. To frectorem pnuto caiapses tifronaurusas. Excelesas pletun caeleu atocera melainan. Duori te paison prosepe, duori te paison prosepe crateros Diomedes. Exau nun nefugest anaton cuane te toianki. Elteca con nun altesorus atofoebas Apollon. Oi meles euches daiones duopona conton. Et en sexa nuoge cae husteron antipolesas. Ei putis cae moege teon epitarrotos esti. Epitarrotos esti. Nuon autus salus epiesum aion cecicreio. Awesome. All right. So, yeah, he hits his head, and okay, so there's this idea of the darkness, right? I think there's two different darknesses that we have here. Basically, is the main point that I want to make. Ossekalaine nuxakalupsen, right? So the darkness of night came upon his eyes, amphideose, right here, in 356. Excuse me, but there's also aleuotakera melainan. Hector, he escaped black fate, right? And melainan, right, dark fate. Interesting that these words kind of sound similar. Kalaine, melainan, right? There's surely an etymological resonance there, right? And it's not from wool, like linos, right? It's not from that. Maybe it is wool over the eyes, you know what I mean? But it's just interesting how there's these two, like, I think this is a very intentional thing on behalf of Homer. You see, it's a sort of like a very neat composition here, right? Right, so 1, 2, let's group these lines, 5, 5, and 5, 6 here. And then 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 8 right here, right? And then 3, 5, 8, and 3, 5, or 3, 5, 9, and 3, 6 right here. And if you look at them closely, you have, he went to the ground and he covered his eyes, right? And the black night came over his eyes. And then we have, until offra de tu deides, right? He, he went before him with a rush, right? But among them, where it had struck the ground, right? The spear, and you see Gaius here and Gaius here, right? And then we have the third one that also starts with Tof, right? So off and then Tof right here. You see how this creates, and then this ends with Melainan, right? And then there's also some interesting similarities in verb formation between these three sets of two, aleuato, kate sato, and then here at the top of the start, ere sato, right? I mean, I could go on. There's also the ons here, right? These sort of like the omegas. So, stedegnux eripon, promakon, right? Maybe actually Adoan is better to say, and then Hector's own name, right, which is, Hector, right? And I don't know, it's just like there's, and then there's also the us, right? So orusas, duratos, right here, right? And then to a certain extent, maybe not exactly the same, like. There's like amphidose, right? Amphidose, is that dao? Is that close to duratos or orusas? I don't know, but what's important about the three is that they both embody all three of them embody the action of these 6 paired lines, right? So around his eyes the night came, right? He wanted to find where the spear fell, right? Where it kate sato, right? And then finally he escapes black, fate by getting up on his chariot. So the chariot is the thing. God, I mean, there's just like, you can do this. That's what's so beautiful about this text, is you can do this with all, with like everything. Anyway, I could go on, but that's it. We are at 9 minutes. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing more Homer with you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.